The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a wonderful new week of Running Point. We are on a Monday. Anthony Hartwig with you. So glad you could join us today. Running Point always brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. And man, do we have a good one locked up for you today. We're going to recap the whole weekend. We have so many games to recap. Friday night football, Wednesday volleyball, soccer, and football action. A lot of fun stuff. And if we get time, we have a coach's corner to feature from Liberty Volleyball with Nicolette Ferketic. Hopefully, I think I'll be able to not talk long enough to get that. I'm very structured in that way. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You all know I'm not. You all know I just kind of rant and hope that I time it right. So that's what you get for when Running Point, right? So let's hop right into the scoreboard. Check out what went on over the weekend. Recap all your fun stuff for you. And the scoreboard on ysnlive.com. Here it is for you. It is presented by Burnett Pool, Spas, and Hot Tubs. The YSN scoreboard is a great tool for our YSN fans, whether you're at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. The YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way to see live updated scores of your favorite teams across the YSN family, whether it be your best friends or your heated rivals. Either way, there's no better way to find out what's going on across YSN than the scoreboard. The YSN scoreboard can be found at ysnlive.com/scores, and it is presented by Burnett Pool, Spas, and Hot Tubs. Let's get to it. Friday, September 6th, it's football night, week 3, last week of a lot of the teams' non-conference schedules. St. John goes into Beechwood, gets a big win over the Bison, 22-3. The Heralds not messing around Friday. Talk about not messing around. How about South Range taking on D2 Barberton and shutting out the Magic 38-0, the final score there. South Range, we talked about on the Trodicky Electric Scoreboard Show, if you were able to tune in to that. This could have been a lot worse. You know, all the games feel like they could have been a lot more blowouts, and I'm sure if eye test was a thing like it is in college, maybe they might have been, but since it's all about just getting the win, moving on, David Rock showing excellent sportsmanship about not just for his opponent's sake, but also it's the times when he can get his the future of the Raider football program into live game action on the varsity level, get people some letters probably that really deserve them for their acts outside the field and in the weight room, things like that. The work internally in getting your program strong by making sure your kids know that, hey, you know, when we're in control or when we're in a situation where we can get the younger kids that are working really, really hard for us in, we're going to take care of you. We're going to put you in the game, which happens a lot at South Range, and it seems like it's happened a lot this year when the Raiders are blowing people out. 38-0, all South Range. That'll be big for the points. The point system is going to love beating a Division II team in Barberton. So South Range, that's a monumental win when it comes to playoff seeding, as we talk about that in the future. Beaver Local goes to St. Clairsville. This game was delayed mightily, like a lot of games were with rain and storms. And through all the rain and storms, St. Clairsville was able to pull out a very narrow 6-point victory, 27-21. Tough one to take for Beaver Local. You got to think that maybe if it was a game where you were playing the whole time, maybe Beaver Local has the edge. Maybe they're able to win. You never want to make excuses, which we're not. But it adds an extra layer of toughness when you have to deal with long delays in the rain. Very close teams, very evenly matched. I bet if they played each other 10 times, it might go 5-5 the other way. This time it just goes St. Clairsville's way on the road for Beaver Local. Conneaut gets beat by Berkshire 51-26. One of the things I do want to say about the Spartans in this game, though, because I was watching the score updates very closely. Conneaut was down a lot in the half. It was I think it was 36-0 at halftime. That is when you could just sink it in, right? Say, you know what, pack it in, work on next week. But they just kept fighting and scrapping and clawing. And even though 51-26 is still a big margin, what is that? That's 20, 25. They cut it down. They won the second half by 10. And I think as a coach, if you're having a game like that in the second half, you just say, hey, let's go win the second half, right? Let's go win quarter by quarter. A lot of great coaches, whether it be in high school or in college, make games a little bit more focused by saying, well, instead of winning the game, let's win quarters, right? Let's win 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, and if we win all 4 quarters, we win the game, right? So after being down 36-0 at halftime, I'm sure the coaching staff at Conneaut was in the locker room and they said, hey, you know what? Can we come back in this game? I mean, possibly, but probably not. But let's win quarters. Let's go out there. Let's win the third quarter. Let's win the fourth quarter. Let's win the second half. And they did. They won the second half by 11, actually. They won it by 11 points. So props to Conneaut for never, ever giving up in this game and making sure that Berkshire was not going to use them as a doormat. And this one didn't get completely out of hand. So Spartan's a tough team. They're going to have Orange coming in next week. They'll have to lock in for that one because we'll talk about Orange a little bit later when their score pops up. But the Lions are feeling good. Talking about feeling good, East Palestine is 2-1 in the season. They beat Bridgeport, not Connecticut, but still a Bridgeport team that came up to East Palestine. I think East Palestine went there last year and fell to Bridgeport, so this has to feel good for the Bulldogs. 22-0, 32-0, excuse me, the final score. East Palestine all over Bridgeport. They're 2-1 going to EOAC play, so you got to keep your eye on the Bulldogs. You never know what things can happen. Canfield has a rough road trip to Olmsted Falls, 35-6, the final score there. Canfield's 1-2, playing a lot better at home. They've had 2 road games and 1 home game, and the differences were dramatic. So right now, Canfield, these long road trips to Olmsted Falls and West Branch, not too long, but the road trips are not being kind to the Cardinals right now. But home field advantage being very kind to Canfield because they did beat a very good team in week 2 at home. They're young. They're going to have a little bit of inconsistencies. Week 1 through 3, that's okay. Even week 4, maybe. But you're going to start to see this coaching staff, this team that has really good leaders. We know that. We talk to them every week. They're going to be able to start to find that consistency as the season goes on. I strongly believe that. I strongly believe reps against someone other than yourself matter. And I think the more reps you get, the better you're going to get. And I believe in this team. I believe in this program. I believe in the kids there. So I don't want to hit the panic button if you're Canfield. It's a tough loss. You get blown out of the water on the road. It's easy to look at that as a Canfield fan with the success this program has had over the last, especially several years. It's easy to kind of hit that panic red button on the side of the desk and be like, okay, time to run around with the chicken like a chicken with your head cut off, right? But don't panic. Don't panic. This team has the talent. They have the pieces. They're just new pieces, and they have to find their way to mesh together like a puzzle piece. And once they do, this Canfield team, I think they proved in week 2 when they put it together, they're a pretty dang good football team. So their schedule doesn't give many breaks. It's not time to just kind of take one off and put it together on the field, but They're going to put the work in. They're going to get better as a team. And 1-2 is not the end of the world going into week 4. Camel, after a very tough loss down the stretch against LeBray, where LeBray beat them on pretty much the last play of the game, they come back. They have a very good back and forth battle with Champion, who plays almost the same offensive scheme as LeBray. And Camel was up for the task this time around. Final score was 30-25. This time the Red Devils make those game-winning plays down the stretch in a close game. It's great to see this Red Devils team. I love watching them play this year. And I've said it again and again and again talking to Coach King. I got to talk to him. I hear his interviews at the Camel Memorial Show. It's a different bunch that wants to fight for their coach in their 4th year of having him. So these seniors are really playing inspired football. They're 2-1, and that one loss was just barely. So Camel looking really, really good. But now they have a very tough MVAC Scarlet tier to go through. This year, I think it's pretty apparent and not bold to say that the Scarlet tier in football looks a little bit better than the Gray tier. I know the Gray tier is bigger. I know they have bigger teams. But you look at this at the Scarlet tier and the teams they're going to put on the field: Jackson Milton, Western Reserve, Springfield, McDonald, Camel. All 5 of those teams looking really, really good right now. Middle Ridge can't be, overlooked. There's going to be a lot of really good football being played in the MVAC Scarlet tier. So Camel is in for a very tough schedule that will get them tested throughout the season. But if they can get enough wins, and that's why this win right here is really important, because 2-1, you have less pressure in conference play. Yes, you would have loved to be 3-0, and they were right there on the edge of 3-0. But 2-1, you don't have as much pressure the last 7 weeks. And I talked about this last week too. It's all about getting into the playoffs in football. You want to get enough wins to get in the playoffs. It's not like every other sport where everybody gets in. So now Camel goes into league play in the MVAC Scarlet tier. You're thinking 2-1 in their division, in their region. You think maybe 6 wins will get you into those top 16 spots. So you're thinking 4-2, 4-3 in your last 7 would suffice. 5-2 would probably get you locked in. So it's a lot less pressure than saying, like, if you're 1-2 or God forbid 0-3 going into that conference play, and you're like, man, we have to win all 7 games, or we have to win 6 out of 7. That's tough. That's really tough. Camel's going 5 out of 7 probably locks us. 4 out of 7 probably gets you pretty much locked in without that guarantee. But 5, I would say right now in their region, a 7-3 record, you're locked in. 6-4, you'd have to see, but it's probably a good bet that you'd be in. And then if they go 5-5, that's one of those ones you're on the edge, right? You're on the fence. You could go, you couldn't. It'll be down to the wire. But I think if they go 4-3 in conference play, they're going to be sitting pretty. They get a couple of bonus points for beating Champion, who is, I believe, a higher division than them. So that's good for Camel too. We'll go on to the next one. Is Boardman is now 2-1. We're looking at these teams that have struggled last year and in the last couple years. Get off to really good starts. East Palestine 2-1, Boardman 2-1. We're going to talk about Orange a little bit later, but they're 3-0. A lot of teams kind of putting their foot in the dirt this year, saying no more. We're gonna turn this program around. Boardman looking really good in their first matchup against a local team on the ground in the rain. That's what they wanted to do. They were actually talking to their AD and their coaching staff at the volleyball game I was at before the football game. On Thursday, I had a chance to see a couple of their football coaches there, and assistant AD, Coach Seipert. They were all there, and they said, man, we're hoping for rain because that'll just feed into our style of football. It was definitely rainy. I don't think they had any delays in Portland, one of the only games to not suffer a lightning delay, but definitely raining, and that rain helped them out a lot in a very physical 19-0 Cheney win over Cheney, I should say. First local team of many that Boardman is going to play this year. Clearview comes into McDonald and really does a lot of good things against this McDonald offense that was high flying for most of the season. I think a lot of people are going to look at this tape and say, what did Clearview do to slow down this McDonald offense? You would think would have a lot of advantages in the rain with a running offense that likes to be powerful, likes to push you around. That's ideal for wet weather, right? But not Friday night. McDonald just could not get the offense going. Their defense played pretty well in high school football. If you allow 20 points or less, most of the time you're going to at least have a chance to win. But this time they just couldn't find the offense. 20-7, Clearview gives McDonald their first loss. Good news for the Blue Devils, though. Everything's still in front of them. Their league is still right there. They can go win the Scarlet Tier. They're going to be in the conversation for that. They're going to be one of the favorites to go win the Scarlet. So everything is still right there for McDonald. They just have to make sure that they don't let this loss kind of, unravel and snowball into more. We go into the next one where Struthers play Dawn Community. 40-6, the final score for that. Struthers gets the big win over Dawn. I think it was actually Dawn Prep Academy or something like that. This will not count towards their rankings, by the way. So if you see our power rankings go up, they just went up this morning. Struthers is labeled at 2-0 with an asterisk because this win doesn't count towards the rankings for them. It's just a win. So Salem gets the win over East Liverpool, 13-7. Their offense finding enough, their defense playing really well. The Potters scored in their waning minutes of the fourth quarter to make it 13-7. Couldn't get the ball back to try to tie up the game or take the win. So a very impressive win for Salem as their first win of the year, and they do it in their home opener, I believe. So impressive for Salem. They hope to take that momentum into the next game. They have Canton Central Catholic coming into Salem on Friday. Springfield took the lead late, but then a big play for Geneva wins it 21-14. The final score, it was 13-7. Springfield scored a big touchdown at Cunningham. Big run for a touchdown to make it 14-13 with what felt like, not a lot of time for Geneva, but Geneva got a big play. They escaped the jungle with the win. Tough one to swallow for Springfield for sure. But just like McDonald, I think Springfield is looking at that league saying, we're a contender. We're going to be in the conversation. So despite being 1-2 right now, they can wave it all off. If they go and they take care of business in the conference, they'll be fine. So I think Springfield is in the same boat as McDonald. A tough team out of conference comes in to your house and beats you. But if you just don't let that one loss kind of hurt your mentality and turn into 2 or 3, you're going to be okay. And both those teams are well coached by seasoned veterans that know how to handle losses. They don't want to. No one wants to lose. But we've seen Sean Guerrero-led teams go 0-3 to start and finish 7-3. So they definitely knows how to bounce back from stuff not going their way. So I think Springfield and McDonald will definitely be serious contenders in that MVAC Scarlet tier. And they'll have a chance to play each other as well, too, down the road. We go on next. Fitch takes care of Glen Oak. A lot of people thought this might be a little competitive, but Fitch said, no. Our run game, way too much for the Eagles. They get the win 36-0 over Glen Oak. By the way, someone in the comments did find me that mascot. I remember on Friday my brain completely farted, and I couldn't remember what bird Glen Oak, represented. So thank you. I forget who it was, but it was someone that doesn't comment a lot. Tuning in, 1, on Friday, but 2, hitting me up with the comments. The comments are open, guys. If you want to hit up with comments, talk about your thoughts for the football Friday or anything that we're talking about at Running Point, don't be afraid to hit the comments up. The comments are live. I see them. I'll react to them. Hit me up with comments. We love them. We go into the next one where Cardinal, in probably the game of the night, or at least one of the games of the night, they beat Grand Valley 36-33. I mean, definitely a tough one for the Mustangs to come back from. But this was going on the road against a team that probably on paper was the favorite. And Grand Valley just fought every single minute of this game, and they just could not come up with that last play. So that's a tough experience for Grand Valley, but going on the road and playing that hard against a team like Cardinal, that'll pay dividends. We're in week 4, guys. I think Grand Valley has plenty of things to look forward to. Edgewood, same thing, a tough loss against a non-conference team that went really well. Edgewood played hard, and they just fell a little bit short, 22-13, the final score there. Hubbard continues their defensive prowess with a win over Howland, 24-3. I said this on the Joe Dickey Electric show, though, too. I think Howland is going to snag more wins this year. I don't think they're done, and obviously they went, oh, I said the word. There goes our tally. But they had a tough year last year. They went winless. They came out, they got the first win of the season against Niles, 28-0. Yes, they've lost 2 in a row, but they're both the NE8 teams. Niles proved that they can be a good football team, so that win looks a little bit more impressive. And they played Poland and Hubbard. Those are just brutal teams to go and play inside the NE8. And you look at their defense and what Hubbard was able to do the first 2 games compared to what they're able to do in this week. Howland's defense was doing something right. And even in that Poland game, up until the fourth quarter, it was 21-7. They were right there. Poland was able to just kind of take advantage of some things late and make it a 41-7 game. But that game was a lot closer. Howland, if they can find some offense just to get that extra boost and get close and put some pressure on other teams' offenses against their good defense, they'll be they're going to be okay. And I think they have some games on their schedule. It's a tough schedule, but they have some games that I think they can compete in and have a chance to win. Wouldn't be surprised if Howland knocks on the door of a couple more wins this year. I don't think this is a Howland team that's going to look the same as we've seen them in the past. But Hubbard, on their end, looking really good. The NE8 as a whole. I mean, I know we always talk about the NE8 and how good it is in football. And I don't want to overreact after 3 weeks because I've been saying this whole day, this whole show, 3 weeks were okay for all the teams that might be 2-1 when they should be 3-0. Like, hey, it's this week 3, we're okay. So I don't want to totally, speak out of both sides of my mouth and then get overreacted to week 3. But man, the NE8 looks good. Better than we've seen it before. I mean, we've always known that it's a good conference, but it was usually 1 or 2 or 3 teams that look really, really good, and then maybe 3 or 4 teams that look, they're good, but they're not going to compete with the other 3. This time, it's like they all look really good, and I don't know who's going to come out with the upper hand in this conference. Obviously, I said it again, but South Range is going to be the favorite going in because of what they've been able to do in the past, what they're doing this year. But you look at Lakeview, who has allowed 6 points in 3 games played this year. You look at what Hubbard's doing. Poland is proving people wrong every single week. You look at what Struthers is doing. They look amazing right now. Niles comes and gets the win this year. You can't forget about the Dragons. I mean, win this week. I should say win this year. Win this week. The NE8 looks just really, really stacked. And I think maybe more deep than years past. Definitely top-heavy conference with some good teams at the top. The last couple years, this year might be that one where it's kind of like the SEC, where everyone's going to beat up on everybody, and at the end of the day, you might not see a lot of people with pristine records because they have to go play Lakeview, Struthers, Girard, Niles back to back, and it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this gauntlet? And they get respect for that, for being able to go out and play in that conference. So NE8, man, looking good. Louisville goes to Northwest, and man, this has been the tale of the 2 losses for Louisville. Just so close, right there. This is a much better Louisville team this year. A lot of programs, and Louisville's in the same boat. I said it before with Boardman, with East Palestine, making the turnaround, making that 180 this year. I think Louisville is one of those teams too. I mean, they're going to get their wins. They are. They keep knocking at the door. We saw them blow out, get the blowout win in week 2, but 2 really tough 1-possession losses that their coaching staff is looking at film going, we had it. We could have won. They were right there. Opportunities were right in front of us. So Louisville going to fix those little things. They're very fixable, and they're going to get some wins this year. They're going to get some wins. Newton Falls falls to Matthews, 20-6. The final score there for the Tigers. Talking about Niles, it was the Battle of the Dragons. If you're Game of Thrones or House of Dragon fan, this one was perfect for you. The Niles Dragons, they go into Lakeside in Ashtabula County, and this is a upper division school that was playing very good football right now, very athletic. And Niles goes in and kind of owns the whole night, 26-6. The final score in that one. Palmetooning Valley and their size, way too much for Jefferson. 34-6, Lakers get the win. Like I said, their size is very good, and they give a lot of teams problems, especially up front. St. Thomas Aquinas will continue to have trouble with YSN teams as they go to Middle Ridge, and the Rams get the blowout victory, 54-13, the final score. Cardinal Mooney with a good start, but eventually Steubenville, the Big Red, use a big second half to win 31-21 over the Cardinals. It's tough luck for the Cardinals because first 2 weeks their defense was there, their offense wasn't. Now their offense gets some momentum, gets some help, but Steubenville's offense, especially in the second half, takes advantage of the Mooney defense. So if Mooney can put those two things together, then they're going to be okay. But right now, Cardinal Mooney 0-3, and their schedule does not get any easier at all. Strasburg Franklin comes into Latonia, gets the win 42-0 over the Bears. We have Lowville bouncing back from their loss last week with a big win over Tuskegee Central Catholic, 47-6, the final score in that one. Crestview with a big win in a game that everyone thought was going to be super competitive. The Rebels put their foot down in the ground and say, "Not so fast, my friend." They beat United 30-7, the final score there. They don't get the full game in for Ursuline and Farrell, but they did make this final 27-0, the final score in PA. This game was called, I think, in the second quarter, sometime in the second quarter, because of weather. Weather was actually a little bit worse in Western PA than it was here, because we saw Western PA games get thrown out pretty quickly. Brookfield falls to Valley Christian 23-6. Turnovers plague the Warriors all night. Valley Christian takes full advantage of those mistakes, and they win that game handily. Talk about handily. Look at what West Branch is doing this year. That's a good Girard team that's going to win a lot of games this year. They went on the road into Arrowhead. Tough place to play normally, and West Branch wins 48-7. They're just looking so good right now. Talking about looking good, it's the Western Reserve run game, and they have a couple of weapons on the ground they go to. All of them having a big game against Columbiana, 35-7, the final score there. The story of the night, Orange, is the darling of YSN right now. They win over Wycliffe, 37-23, your final score, and Orange is now 3-0 for the first time since 2018. That's a year where they went 4-0 to start and finished the year 7-4. They also have more wins this year combined than the last 2 years combined. So this is another program that, like Boardman, like East Palestine, like Louisville, taking that 180 and saying this is the turnaround that we've been working for the last 2 years, and showing people that there is fight in Pepper Pike. And I love this Orange team. They have a very even opponent that they're going to have opportunities to beat. And Conneaut coming in next week. This Lions team is the real deal. It's the real deal. This Wycliffe team came in undefeated too, so it was a 2-0 team. It was not a cupcake game at all. And Orange ran the ball down their throat. There was a garbage touchdown that made this team a little bit closer, but it was 37-16. Late in the fourth quarter, Wycliffe scored a meaningless fourth quarter touchdown to make it a 14-point game, but it wasn't that close. The second half was all Lions. It was close in the first half. Lions ran away with it in the second half. They finished strong. Their running game just wore down the Blue Devils, and it was magical to watch. It was that old school football. We're gonna break your will on the offensive line, and then we're gonna run over you. Lisbon, they're able to get the win. Luke Kraft has a big night for the Blue Devils as they win 20-6. You can find a post-game interview with Kraft from YSN on our YouTube page. You can also find it on the game's recap on ysnlive.com. He had a monster game for the Blue Devils in their win. This was the game of the night, and this was exactly what everyone expected it to be. This was a matchup between two reigning state champions, Division 6, Division 5, Perry versus Kirtland. Powerhouses, the definition of them. It went into triple overtime, you guys. Triple OT. Kirtland gets the win with a 2-point conversion. 22-21. Hornets snake YSN again but this is as close as any of our teams have gotten. So we had some hope that we would finally get a football team that beats Kirtland. Perry couldn't do it, but they got dang close. And this game, probably more times than not, shouldn't have gone to overtime. Kirtland had the ball on the goal line in the end of regulation. Perry gets a big stop there, forces overtime, takes them to 3. But that Kirtland team is good, man. They are dang good at football. They prove it time and time again. We all know what they're made of. 22-21, they get the win in triple overtime. What a football game, though, in Perry. We have Amani Christian getting the win over Beaver, PA, over there in PA, 42-28, the final score there. Garrettsville Garfield bounces back from their loss to JFK last week. They're 2-1 going into the conference play. They win 20-12 over Paynesville Riverside. Poland goes to Fireland and shuts out the Falcons 19-0, the final score there. Poland's going to NE8 play undefeated 3-0 like a lot of their conference team members are. Wellsville gets beat by Caldwell 43-0, the final score. How about East, though, getting a big bounce back win? They had a tough loss by 1 point in week 2, but they come in week 3 and they beat Cleveland JFK at home, 36-0, the final score. Big win for the Bears. Southeast falls to Cuyahoga Falls, 21-6, the final score for the Pirates. Hoban all over Akron Buchtel, 56-0, the final score there. And then Mohawk gets the big victory over Shenango, although this game was one of those ones like we saw in other games, especially Farrell Ursuline. Rained a lot early. They canceled it. This game is not going to be made up. There's no makeup date. They're not going to reschedule it. Mohawk was up 14-0 when this game was called. So it will not be an official win or loss for them. They did not get enough football in for it to go down as an official game. It's called because of weather. Mohawk was up 14-0 when it was called. So if we take a deep breath, we still have Saturday to go over. We had one football game on Saturday, and it was a doozy. Competing with college football is hard, right? But I think they lived up to it. Warren, JFK, and LeBray. LeBray getting the upset, 17-14. We've been asking for consistency out of the Vikings all year, and boy, did they do it. This is a JFK team that went out and just dominated Garfield, who a lot of people think might be the favorite still in the gray tier. So what does this say? Is LeBray going to be a team that pushes Garfield this year? That's going to be a big matchup to watch out for. Don't forget about Crestview in the great tier, though. But LeBray looking very good going to JFK at their home field in Liberty and beating the Eagles 17-14 final score. Big one for LeBray. In volleyball, we had a bunch of tri matches go on. Beaver Local sweeps the tri match with Steubenville and Wheaton. Heartland Christian gets the win over Lordstown 2-1. And then United beats Lordstown 2-0. And then in the final one of that one, Heartland Christian wins that tri match with a win over United 2-0. Perry gets a win over Streetsboro 2-1. They fell to Bay Village Bay. And in the other game of that tri match, Louisville gets the win over Akron St. Mary 2-1. Hoban gets the win over Wadsworth. Hold on, I gotta get this scoreboard to scroll real quick. Wadsworth, that was 2-1 for Hoban. We saw that Hoban then got the next win of their tri match over Worcester 2-0. Fitch did fall to Revere. That one's not on the scoreboard, but we did see that score come in 3-2. Canfield won 3 games. They went into a tournament down there in Akron Firestone. They played 3 games, and they went 2-1 on the weekend. They beat Akron Firestone. They beat Walsh Jesuit, both 2-0, and they fell to Broadview Heights, Brecksville Broadview Heights in 2-1. Those were really competitive sets. So Canfield looking really good as they go back to AAC play this week. We'll see what happens. I think they have Boardman on Thursday. That's their only game of the week for the Cardinals. Crestwood, East Liverpool, and West Branch getting together. This is going to be a very good tri-match on paper. Crestwood came in undefeated. East Liverpool, I believe, was 6-2 coming in, and West Branch had 6 wins as well. So you had 3 teams that had very good records, very good resumes coming in. We knew this was going to be a really good tri-match. It kicked off with West Branch beating Crestwood. Reagan Greenison getting her 1,000th career dig. She was our first player profile of the season. So she did 2 coming into this one. We knew that she was going to get it. That was big. West Branch wins 2 competitive sets over the Red Devils in the first game. Then East Liverpool comes in, takes advantage of being the fresher team. They win 2-0 over Crestwood. And then the final one of the day between West Branch and East Liverpool, the Warriors get the win. A runaway set 1. I think the West Branch having the break between helped them. And then a very competitive set 2. 25-11, 25-23. Just to give you clarity on how that match went. I think if East Liverpool feels East Liverpool probably feels like, hey, if this was a normal, just hey, show up, warm up, and play kind of volleyball setting, they would have a good chance against West Branch. It just wasn't that. Tri-matches are weird. Tri-matches are weird to go in. Like Crestwood had to play 2 games in a row against the East Liverpool team that was playing their first game. They probably weren't their sharpest. They had to bounce back from a loss really quickly. And then you look at East Liverpool, who had just played a game. They play West Branch, who had a break, home court advantage a little bit. So I think East Liverpool probably feels like, hey, if we get West Branch on a day, there's one day where it's one volleyball game, different story maybe. I'm not saying that they would win, but it would be a lot more competitive than the sweep. And they wouldn't throw away a set probably 25-11. But West Branch, they took advantage. That first win was the most impressive one of the day, though, because those are 2 fresh teams, both warm-ups, the completely even ground, and they won 2 very competitive sets against Crestwood, who was a very good volleyball team. I saw them, watched them play, and definitely not a team that we have on YSN, but if we run into them, they have a good defense. They have a couple of good outside hitters. They're going to be tough if one of our YSN teams has to come up against them in tournament time. Boys soccer scores from Saturday. We have Salem and South Range. They played to a scoreless draw. We have Hoban and Stone Monroe Falls playing to a 1-1 draw. Glen Oak beat Louisville 3-1. Cardinal Mooney went to Boardman, got the win 4-2 over the Spartans. We have Austintown Fitch getting the draw with Kenson 2-2. Canfield draws with Aurora. A lot of ties on Saturday, 1-1. Howland ties with Marlington 1-1. Columbiana and Warren Harding, a good one. Columbiana gets the win 3-2 in that matchup. Girard wins over Newton Falls 9-0. Waterloo falls to Tuslaw 4-2. Beaver gets the win over Sewickley Academy 3-1. Crestwood falls to United 5-1. Niles goes to Ravenna and loses 2-0. Mohawk gets the win over Elwood City 5-0. On the girls soccer side on Saturday, Louisville playing Marlington, getting the win 11-0. Austintown Fitch falls to Maslin Perry 4-1. Niles falls to Bournemouth. It's a big win for the Spartans, 3-2. The final score there. Edison falls to Indian Creek 6-2. In girls soccer, we see that Conneaut goes to Grand Valley. Grand Valley with a narrow victory over them, 1-0 in the final score. United Girls fall to Crestwood 1-0. Garfield and LeBray tie at 1. Gerard Newton Falls on the girls' side. Gerard gets to win 3-1. West Branch and Poland tie at 1 apiece. And then Cardinal Mooney falls to North Ridgeville 7-1. Those are your scores from Friday to Saturday. We have done the weekend recap, and that is when we take a big breath, right? A lot of stuff that we just went over. A lot of scores, a lot of teams for football making a big statement. A lot of programs turning the ship around, and a lot of programs that didn't need to turn around looking just as strong as they ever did, with a couple of question marks coming into the season that they're answering emphatically, right? So a great weekend And we will do it again next Friday and Saturday with more football. Week 4 coming at you. But before all that, we have a great week of volleyball. Tomorrow is going to be a really big day in volleyball. Today will be fun as well. We're going to preview it all, but first we'll have, we're going to preview it all next on Running Point. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit, everybody.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, top right-hand corner of the screen over there, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to talk about the games going on tonight, but first, the volleyball first state polls of the season are out. I want to go over those rankings real quick, what YSN teams popped up or received votes for this poll. Number 2. Hoban. This is just it's an easy vote. Hoban is destroying people right now. They're 10-0 right now on the season. They've played mainly D1 and D2 competition. They're good teams they're beating. These are 6-7 win teams. I mean, they're just playing really good volleyball right now. They're looking unstoppable, really. So they're number 2 in Division 3. We go into Division 4. Lakeview and West Branch received votes. They're not in the poll, but they did receive votes for Division 4. Division 5, Crestview is number 3. Columbian is number 7. Garfield number 8. We have a big matchup between Crestview and Garfield tomorrow in Crestview, so that's going to be really fun to cover there. We go to D7. Ashley Beulah St. John was able to receive votes. So like I said, Hoban, number 1 in our power rankings. I'll let DJ go over the whole power rankings on Power Hour. It just makes sense that way. But Hoban is number 1 by a lot. Like, you look at the numbers, it's not close. They're 10-0. They've beaten a lot of D2, D1 teams, and they're all really good teams. So they get, not only do they get that division bonus, but they get the even more weighted opponent wins bonus. They're really playing well right now against really good teams. And they're independent, so that's not going to stop. They're going to be continuing to play really good teams, upper division. We'll see if that trend continues for Hoban. It's a long way to go. They still have 12 more games to play in the regular season before it's all said and done. But they look really good right now. They look really good. They lost a couple of seniors last year, so I didn't know if people thought they'd be as dominant, but they are. They are very good so far this year. Another thing I want to bring up before we preview tonight and what's going on, we have new shirts out, right? And you'll see some of our announcers wearing these, but you'll definitely see our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, wearing these. And I want to bring it up so you guys can know if you see it, what to do, right? So these are the new shirts that our good friend Gary Leininger got made. This is his brainchild. Props to him for having the great idea. This YSN on the front, I'm trying to frame it up right, or YSN on the front. But the big thing is the back, right? The back of these shirts have a QR code, so you can see them right there. This will lead you right to our smug mug, right? So right to where all of our game pictures are. So you don't have to follow a link anymore. You don't have to search for the smug mug. If you see one of our announcers wearing one of these shirts, or especially Gary, I think he's got this shirt on every time he goes out somewhere, make sure to stop him. Don't be afraid to be like, hey, can I take a picture of your back? We won't be offended. We get what you're doing. I'll have this on tonight where I am at, which will be Mineral Ridge and Camel. Gary will have this on all the time when he goes to places, and he's somewhere almost every night. Right to our smug mug, game pictures for sale, and you don't find better game pictures than what Gary takes. If you look at our website and you go, wow, your website looks awesome, these pictures are awesome. Not only do our photographers that we have good relationships help us out with that, but Gary Leininger is just he's a superstar, right? He's taken pictures almost every night, and there are a lot of teams that have pictures for us solely because Gary's out there doing in the hard work. So, one, thank Gary if you see him out there for his hard work, but also stop him and be like, hey, Gary, can I take a picture of your back? Because I want that QR code. I want to go right to your smug mug. I want to buy pictures of my favorite athlete. So make sure to do that. Make sure to see Gary out there tonight. Gary's going to be at girls soccer action at Springfield. So if you're out there watching Champion at Springfield, a big matchup in the MVAC, make sure to stop Gary. Try to take a picture of his back. It'll be a sunny day, so you should get a good view of that QR code. And make sure to head out to our smug mug and get great pictures of our great athletes for you here today. We have a comment in the comment section. Let's look at let's see what it is. Hold on. I'm doing good, Mark. Well, don't worry, man. Well, I know we're going to hear from you a lot during wrestling season. We do have season, what is it? I think we're on season 4 of Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer. He'll be coming up during the winter sports season, so we'll get you there. And we know you'll be tuning in a lot for that. We appreciate you tuning in here today. I love hearing from you, Mark. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's preview tonight's action. Let's go into what's happening across the YSN network tonight. We have girls soccer, boys soccer, volleyball all going on, although it is not as packed of a night that we'll see on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We still have plenty of action for you if you're a fan of either sport. We'll go to September 9th. On the bottom of that scoreboard, that's where you can find the date toggles. Monday, September 9th, 2024. Here's what it looks like. Ashley Beulah St. John, who is undefeated, 7-0 on the season. They go to Lordstown, Lisbon, going on the road to Lowville. That's a non-conference matchup there between MVAC and EOAC. You have Orange hosting Whitcliffe. Maplewood going to Grand Valley. Mohawk will host Freedom out of PA. Boardman will host Poland. We'll go to Poland. Camel will be at Middle Ridge. Cocker will be at Wyndham. Columbiana will be at Heartland. Jackson Milton will go to McDonald. We have Southern Local hosting Weirton Madonna. Matthews goes to Pymatuning Valley. South Range traveling to Warren Harding. Struthers going to Cheney. Toronto going to Wellsville. Ursuline going to Hubbard. Springfield playing host to Waterloo. And Western Reserve going to Sebring. So a couple of conference games, but for the most part, non-conference action, although that Jackson Milton McDonald game, a big one inside the EOAC, inside the MVAC there. So is Camel and Middle Ridge. That's going to be a big one for the MVAC as well. Springfield trying to keep pace inside the conference. They have to try to chase down McDonald after falling to them earlier on in the season. So they're one game back of the Blue Devils, who are undefeated so far in the conference and overall. Boys soccer, we have JFK. They're going to Pymatuning Valley. Grand Valley going to Badger tonight. We have Champion hosting LeBray. Matthews going to Columbiana tonight. Crestview going to play host to Garfield. Jackson Milton going to Camel. We have Brookfield going to Newton Falls. Middle Ridge going to Southeast. And then last but not least, on the boys' side, we have Liberty going to Waterloo. On the girls' side, Jefferson hosting Crestwood. South Range will play host to Girard. Lakeview traveling to Ursuline tonight. Crestview going to Salem. We'll see that Grand Valley is going to be going to Badger. Boardman goes to Canfield tonight. Cardinal Mooney goes to Cuyahoga Heights. We have Fitch hosting Howland. Oh my gosh, it'll scroll up and not down. What the heck? Come on, give me a down arrow. Thank you. Oh, I guess that's the end of it. That's why. From my perspective, I thought there were more below that, but that's going to be the final line. So, Howland going to Fitch tonight inside the AAC. Rootstown traveling to Warren JFK. Hubbard going to Niles tonight. Champion going to Springfield. And then Poland going to Struthers. Let's take a look at what games will be on the network tonight for you and who will be on the call for those games real quick. We have soccer on the network. We'll have Matt Marr at Lakeview at Ursuline tonight, and we'll have Luke Davis covering Crestview at Salem. And then we have volleyball, 2 games on the network tonight. I will be in Camel and Middle Ridge with Angelina Capabianca, so make sure to check in with that. Gary Altizer, who we just said will be back with Wrestling Wednesdays, but he has you covered for volleyball coverage. He'll be in Wellsville for their matchup with Toronto. So 4 games on the network tonight, 2 soccer, 2 volleyball. Make sure to tune in to ysnlive.com/live and check them all out. We are appreciative of the support and the sponsors that let us have those live games. So make sure to check them out or go out there and support a team. Once again, our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, he'll be at Springfield and Champion Girls Soccer tonight. So if you see him and he's rocking his QR code shirt, which I hope he is because, you know, it's his idea, it's his brainchild, make sure to stop him and don't be afraid to be like, hey, man, let me have the back of your shirt real quick. That'll take you straight to our Smug Mug. And from there, you'll be able to buy pictures not only from Springfield and Champion Girls Soccer tonight, but also all the games that Gary's done. It's completely backlogged, so you can find pictures from 2019 in there too. So if you're someone that has an alum out there that hasn't played in a while, but you want to look at nostalgia pictures and want to kind of live some memories, make sure to go to Smug Mug. They're still there. We don't take them off. So go to our YSN Smug Mug, buy the pictures, and save the memories. We have Gary there, so you don't have to go out and take your camera. You can watch your kid. You can watch the person you went to watch. Let us take the pictures for you. We'll put them up on a Smug Mug. You can have them. Don't bother taking the phone out, taking pictures. Watch the game. Enjoy your kid playing the sport, right? That's what we want. We want to see as little parents with cameras in the stands as possible. Unless you're passionate about taking cameras, by the way. Don't take that as I'm like, oh, man, how dare you take pictures? But we don't want you to feel like you have to, right? That's why we send Gary out to where as many as we do, and we have other great partnerships with other photographers out there in the area. So we want to make sure that your kid's taken care of. So if you see Gary tonight, get the QR code and thank him for his service to YSN and your kids. Make sure. So I will be at Middle Ridge and Campbell. Make sure to tune into that, and we will see you tomorrow at Running Point to recap it all. 1 to 2 tomorrow, ysnlive.com right here. Brought to you by Green.